Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Monday, September 1st, 2025. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change on Labor Day, flying solo today. This podcast covers the national champions who should be number one again today after a brief timeout. Wanted to do something for you today. I realize it's Labor Day, and hopefully a lot of you are still basking or basking yet still, depending how you want to address it, and getting to spend the day doing something better than working. Or if you're at work, hopefully this helps your commute, helps your hangout, whatever. But after an opening like that, really wanted to get this rolling. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop it in the chat here. I'm going to go over my general comments, my thoughts on the team, the offense, the defense, a little bit about Texas, and then what we're going to see going forward. And then we'll go as long as the people crave here. First, it does look like Ohio State's going to be number one in at least one poll, the AFCA coaches poll, because they were ranked number 2. Penn State was number 2 in the other poll. So we shall see. It does also look like the Big Ten will have 3 of the top 4 teams, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon. I think Georgia will be in there too. So let's start with the offense of what we saw, 14-7 win. Seen a lot of coverage of it. Just thought I'd share what I thought. Nothing too revelatory. Let's start with our quarterback. I think I'm legally mandated to start with the other team's quarterback. We're not going to do that. I noticed that some people had some negativity associated with Julian Sand, and that kind of surprised me. I was overwhelmingly impressed when you consider the situation. You're talking about, we've all seen the statistic, first start against a number 1 team. I think first-time quarterbacks were 0-18. That's not good. And Julian was the definition of California cool out there. I thought he was spectacular. Let's just look at the numbers for a sec here. He was 13 of 20 passing. He does not call the plays. Yes, I realize he missed Jeremiah on the first drive when they went for it on 4th down, and he chose to throw it to Max Clare. My guess is that was frustrating for Jeremiah because my guess is they've been talking about that one for a while. First chance they get, they were going to do that. He was there. That said, I think we all saw it. The ball hit Max Clare between the 8 and the 6. And as one longtime source of mine and friend said right after that happened, effing Purdue. But if you look at the other plays, we all saw the blatant drops. It happens. Jeremiah is a young guy under unbelievable scrutiny. So if he dropped a few balls, I think the last thing we want to do is get upset at a guy like that. He'll be just fine. But if you just go look through the numbers, just if you add in the drops, I actually thought Brandon Innes dropped the pass that he threw, which was a dime. I don't know if that'll be listed as a drop, but the ball should have been caught. And he threw one away, I guess, and people made a big deal of him throwing that one away. And yes, he saved them a timeout. That was a mistake. And then the other incompletion, well, one of the other two was when he threw it to Jeremiah, kind of in the extended flat there, and Jeremiah got absolutely mugged. I hope we're not going to see more of what we saw, which was Jeremiah getting the Shaq treatment, which is basically he's going to get there's going to be a penalty on him on every single play. And then the ref's like, well, he's so good and big and strong. He should just fight his way through it. That's fine. Then you got to let him push off like they did later in the game, which I thought was fine. The O-line I thought was really good. Keep in mind, we probably won't face a more talented defense player for player all season. Colin Simmons is regarded as, I think, one of the top edge rushers, and he did not have a huge impact on the game. Austin Seerveld and Philly Daniels handled him pretty well. Philly Daniels looks nasty out there too. My guy plays to the echo of the whistle, which I like. And I think that frustrated Simmons, who ripped Daniel's helmet off one time. That's not usually done unless you're frustrated. I was really impressed with C.J. Donaldson. Love a back where 3 is 5 and 5 is 7. He is always going forward. Very impressed. I'm not totally sure about James Peoples. Dave on the postgame show, What We Learned Live, said he thought it was his vision. I'm not sure the burst was there. I'll tell you this. Grambling is going to see a lot of James Peoples, and they're not going to like it. I think they're going to let him get rolling. But I think I'm one of many who at least started to think, are we going to ever see Bo Jackson out here? Or are we going to get to see some Bo Jackson out here? At some point, I believe we will. Carnell Tate is a first-round draft pick. That is clear to me. His catch on the sideline, by the way, the throw that Sayin made on the sideline there, I think it was 3rd and 9. Rolling to his right, Simmons actually got a nice lick on him. His feet weren't even set, and he whipped it. And Carnell hands catch on the sideline under duress, just looked fantastic. Talking about saying his touchdown to Tate was probably underthrown, but tremendous play. For those of you nerds, that's why you stack the corner after you go by him, because he can't see where the ball's coming from. If he had not stacked him, the guy would have had an angle. So that was awesome. There's plenty of kudos to go around. In terms of the game plan and the statistics, I thought the game plan was conservative to start. And then once they got a view of Texas's offense, the game plan got really conservative, because I know people talk about the end of the game being stressful. It was not stressful for the first 56 minutes. They couldn't do anything. They lacked explosiveness. Ryan Wingo is clearly an explosive player, but they didn't. There was no Jadon Blue out there. They did not look as there was no Alex Golden out there. They did not look as explosive to me. It's early, so we don't know if that was just the defense, but I was not impressed with the motion of Sarkisian's offense, or I didn't think there were any big-time busts. I didn't think he really schemed guys open as well as I thought he would and usually does. So, and also when the MVP clearly for Texas was their punter, Jack Bowmeister. He took one drive away from him with the incredible punt, where they just had to run it out of the end zone. So that kills your stats for one drive. And then he pinned him back before the end of the first half, which killed another drive. So credit to Jack Bowmeister. And if you have 3 or 4, fourth downs where you don't get it, the other team's stats may look a little bit better. Let's talk about their offense before we get to their defense, specifically Arch. One thing that's clear to me, Julian Sand has a better arm than Arch when it comes to just whipping it. It seems to me, and I don't know this for a fact, it looks to me like Arch has a footwork issue. The balls he threw down the field, and he's always been known, he left high school with the reputation of being a great deep passer. The passes he threw down the field were great towards the end of the game when he was able to kind of step into it and his footwork was good. The touchdown pass to Parker Livingstone, the coverage was actually good. It was a perfect throw. He threw another one to Livingstone. I think it was Livingstone that Igbinosin defended in the end zone on 4th down that I thought that ball probably should have been caught. Were you like me and also thought that there was going to be a PI there? I know we were all holding our breath. I think Davison held back a little bit there. Last year, I feel like that would have been a PI. So the most impressive thing about Archer was when he runs the ball. He got away from Arvell Reese one time. The design run they had, I thought was kind of impressive. I would not be surprised if they run him more. I mean, I guess they don't want to do that because anytime you run the quarterback, there's a chance for him to get injured. Lest we forget, Justin Fields is breaking rushing records in the NFL and barely ran the ball by design, at least his senior year here, because the backup situation, we were not looking to go Operation Gunner Hoke. So I'm not sure about that. As far as the defense, I want to give credit to Zach Smith here. I saw him, I think he was being interviewed on another podcast, and he said it. before the game, we have Georgia linebackers now. That is true. Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. Holy cow. I had a friend of mine say, oh, man, Arvell Reese reminds me of Ryan Shazier. And I thought, maybe, except, believe it or not, Arvell is 2 inches taller and about 20 pounds heavier. He looks spectacular. Sonny looks spectacular. Caleb Downs and Matt Patricia were just doing, expert level stuff out there. I'm sure you guys have all heard this, but Bill Belichick, and Patricia is a clear Belichick disciple, was known for just confusing the heck out of young quarterbacks. I don't remember the statistic, but young quarterbacks and first-time starting quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks against Belichick defenses had a terrible record. And it showed, man. It wasn't just how well prepared they were in terms of schematically. They executed the scheme beautifully. I didn't feel like there were many busts at all. I mean, we've followed teams here that were, 1 or 2 busts a game and got abused. In terms of getting off to a good start, Matt Patricia's Q rating has probably never been higher in his entire life. So enjoy that. I never really even got Ogie at the end there. I really thought the defense was going to be able to pull it off, and they did, which was excellent. I'll tell you what's bizarre is how confident I am when another team gets inside the 10-yard line. I root for an NFL team when they get inside the 10-yard line. They go get a soda and know they're getting 6. Ohio State, it is very hard to cross the goal line. Symbolic, I think, that on the 4th down stop at the goal line, the 3 guys I thought that were primary in the stop, Caden McDonald, Will Smith Jr., Caden Curry, none started last year. And there was a lot of questions about the defensive interior. They held up beautifully. I think the defensive staff deserves credit at all levels. You're talking about starting 4 new guys. I don't care how talented they are, and they're very talented. So Larry deserves credit. James Laurinaitis and his linebacker crew. I'm about ready to go hyperbole on that group. I'm not sure we've been more talented at linebacker since I've been here, which is going on almost 20 years now. And OG Walt, good Lord, what he did. Another thing, Arvell Reese and Jermaine Matthews. Enjoy them while you have them. They will not be back. Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, both could be picked in the first round. I'm not even kidding. And Jermaine Matthews, I think PFF had him as the highest graded player on the team. So he looks spectacular. There's really enough kudos to go around. You can't do, there's nothing more you can say positively for an opener. And I also am totally on board with the idea of just get the Texas W. Now you got some less competitive games coming up. They made it very clear that there are guys who are going to be big-time contributors to this team. We're not out there for this game, so they're a little bit younger. We, of course, got to see Devin Sanchez out there. That was cool. But, Ryan Pettijohn and some other dudes, Bo Jackson, who I expect to see a ton of, Mylan Graham. We didn't get to see much of because I think they were just trying to get this dub and get through it. I'll tell you what, Ryan Day is one big win, and we all know what it is, from being regarded, I think, as the best coach in college football, bar none. There's a little hyperbole for you. So I thought it was wonderful. I hope you guys got a chance to check out what we learned live afterwards. I hope you're all over the site now and checking out the photo gallery. There's never been, at least I can't remember, that many Texas and Ohio State celebrities on the sideline. JT Tuimoloau probably gets a coaching stipend for what he did. All the guys were there. Pace, and saw Evan Turner out there. So it was a who's who. And by the way, for a PR value, if you're recruiting, I said this on the show, the weather was probably going to trick some people into committing. It felt like you were in San Diego, crisp in the sun. Just a beautiful day for football, considering the Lee Corso pageantry that went off beforehand. Just like, it felt good to be a Buckeyes fan. Felt very lucky to be a Buckeyes fan, lucky to be part of Bucknuts, just even to enjoy it all. So I'm going to now go through some of these comments. And, yes, we had heard from everybody who knows this. One, Sam looked really good, very accurate, remarkably accurate. I had heard that. I think everyone had heard that. We all heard the Dwayne Haskins comparisons. Lest we forget, Dwayne, 50 touchdown passes. Now, I don't know if Julian's going to get 50, but he's going to get a ton. He looked very good out there. Like I said, the stats, I get it. I think it was a conservative game plan combined with some special teams tomfoolery. We'll do that. Yes, Arvell Reese looked like a superhero out there. Big enough to be a defensive end, fast enough to be a linebacker, and just really impressive. Yeah, Reese is a beast. I think we all know that. Bennett Christian for Heisman. Oh, yeah, definitely. Still basking. I will agree with that. Our offensive line, it's interesting. The national vibes on Ohio State and what actually is going on weren't that symmetrical. I think it's difficult from a national perspective. I mean, I don't really pay attention to much of the national coverage for details just because we got boots on the ground here. Boots on the ground for any beat writer is going to have an advantage, of course, over someone from a national perspective who's kind of like skimming across the headlines. But I don't get the sense that people were that dialed in. I mean, you didn't even hear Arvell Reese's name much. So let's do this. Let's go through this. All the Michigan fans laughing at us when we hired Patricia. Now, keep in mind, he was the head coach of the Detroit Lions. But I think we also sleep on the fact that the NFL is no joke, and he is grossly overqualified for this job just from a pedigree standpoint. And it showed. Boy, so prepared. Just, I mean, I would think this. It certainly helps your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator. Every single time you take the field, you have the best player on the field. And Caleb Downs is solidifying himself as really one of the best college football players I've ever had the blessing of getting the chance to root for. He is really something else. Ryan Snyder, I figured this is going to be the nitpick. Donaldson and Peoples are not the answer. Bo Jackson deserves a look after those two failed to produce. That's a little strong. Failed to produce is strong. Keep in mind, that is a really, really good defense. I know because they had no points going into the fourth quarter, we probably looked down on the program at Texas a little bit, but player for player, they were really impressive. I will say this. We got asked last week a bunch of times when we started to get confident. And I'll tell you it's weird. You know, sometimes you hear something and it kind of just triggers your confidence or kind of locks everything into place. And I'll say it was when I had Dane Brugler on the show, NFL draft guru from The Athletic. And I said to him something along the lines of, I assume Sonny Styles will be the second ranked linebacker on the field behind Anthony Hill Jr., who some people have ranked as the top returning defensive player in the SEC. And Dane was like, hold up. I have Sonny Styles rated ahead of Anthony Hill Jr. Did Anthony Hill Jr. play in this game? I didn't hear his name called much. If Sonny Styles is better than their theoretically best defensive player, I would actually say that's probably Colin Simmons. Holy cow. That gave me a little bit of confidence. And then when we got out there, it looked right to me. I wouldn't even try to compare the two after that game. Sonny was spectacular. Let's go through some more comments here. I'm going as fast as I can. I saw the AI on Peyton taking a shot at his nephew. I doubt that was accurate. Arch's mechanics are all over the place. I would agree. I don't mind the side platform throw if it's accurate, but he's throwing worm burners out there. Really surprising that his mechanics broke down so thoroughly. Like I said, when he has a chance to cut it loose and his feet were set, he threw some dimes. I would not quit on Arch Manning here. I think he got overhyped to start the season. Now he's getting pilloried probably past the point of realistic response. Miami Notre Dame game was awesome entertainment. I agree. Let's see. Yeah. Pros have preseason games, high school scrimmages, first game jitters. Agreed. Andy Nash, I thought Iggy had a great game. Look, if we get out of the game and Igbinosun doesn't get a pass interference penalty, we're at the point where that's already a good game for him. Is that the James Laurinaitis effect? Simon played great as well last year. I don't think it hurts. I think genetics play a large role in why Sonny and Arvell are what they are. They are literally just blessed human beings to be able to be that big, run that fast, and be that smart. But it certainly helps to have a true Buckeye and someone who really understands how to play linebacker in there. Peyton Pierce played well also. So I mean, that's his first real live situation that mattered. I don't remember any busts there. Very solid. Let's see. Ryan Shazier couldn't even begin to shut down a 300, not even speak. Yeah, Ryan was a spectacular football player. To me, the best linebacker we've had, maybe, since the Urban era kicked in. But both these guys are playing at such a high level that the idea that both of them, by that I mean Sonny and Arvell, will be considered in that mix lets you know I don't think we've ever had two guys with the potential to play this well. Now, Cody Simon was spectacular last year. Let's see if Sonny and Arvell can keep it up. But just in terms of a combination of physical talent and what we've seen so far, good Lord, really, really impressive. Same. I also love Coach Patricia. Boy, it really feels like we got him at the right time in his career. Always been known as I forget what they said. I think he's got a major. He went to a Division III school that was very difficult. I can't remember which one. And he's got like a aeronautical engineering degree. And you can hear him talk and know he's brilliant. Maybe he had an issue getting that brilliance into the players by his delivery when he was finishing up with the Patriots and with the Lions, or maybe the short stint he had with the Eagles, but that does not seem to be the issue here. My guy has lost a ton of weight, seems very happy, and boy, it must be nice to go into a team knowing you have way better players. That's always really fun. He's probably as good as the Patriots were. I don't think he'll be. I don't think he ever entered a games. I mean, this game, I guess Texas was close to being as talented, but he's going to have the talent advantage on defense pretty much every game he coaches. And in the NFL, I don't care how good you are, the talent gap week to week is just not that. Why do we have Jeremiah returning punts? Seem like unnecessary risk to him. I would think that almost feels like an unnecessary risk to the others, but I hear you. I'm not normally one who likes to put their big-time skill players back there. I mean, Brendan Ennis is a big-time skill player now. He's no longer a backup. We have him back there. Caleb Downs has done it. I do love the idea of having your more lethal return guy in advantageous situations. When the other team's punter is pinned back inside the 10, and you got a guy who's can take you off to the races. I do like that idea, but I'm not much into questioning the personnel choices right now. I think these guys have earned the benefit of the doubt. When Arvell threw the 300 out of the way, I heard someone say what that move is when the linebacker kind of looks to his right and then attacks. But that attention to detail, there must be some kind of trigger in the Texas system where the linebacker turns his head like that, you let him go, and then he caught Arvell, and that did not go well for my guy there on the offensive line. Let's see here. Where are all the Patricia haters? They're here. They're lurking. Let Grambling get a first down, and you will hear them. That we know. David had a great game, solidified hopefully with this play as first round pick worthy. I think that's I hope maybe Davison Igbinosun. He certainly got everything they want out of a first round corner. Body type. He looks like he still looks to me like he's about 6'2", wiry strength, and he can tackle, he can cover. He just, is overly handsy, and that haunted him for much of last season. I think he was the most penalized guy in the country, at least for defensive backs. Certainly off to a great start. That secondary was elite, no question. Certainly, absolutely, still basking. As soon as Matt was hired, I was like, holy Buckeye, we've upgraded. I'll say this. It's hard to say upgraded when Jim Knowles has a national title to his credit, but he did not get off to the same start that Patricia has. It took a while. I remember we were giving up big plays. It's not even last year, a couple years ago, really big plays. And I guess it's just one game, so we probably got to chill on that a little bit. Caden Curry. Those of you who heard my rant last Monday about, I believe Ohio State knows what they're doing in terms of recruiting and where the money is going, et cetera. You don't, like I said, you don't have Kenyatta Jackson. You don't have Caden Curry. And keep in mind, Ohio State returned 3 starters on defense, Davison Igbinosun, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs. But all 8 other guys had experience in the program. All had been here at least a year and learned. No one, was transfer portal immediacy, and no one, boogied. They got to retain guys who are being developed in the program. I think that's much more difficult if Jalen McClain was making considerably less than a freshman defensive back. Keep in mind, the guys at Ohio State that start, every single one of them thinks they're going to the NFL, and they're right, pretty much. So they're not going to be the kind of guys who are going to be psyched about younger guys being paid more than them. And I wouldn't be either. I got no problem with that. It was great to be there. Yes, I mean, spectacle-wise, opponent-wise, weather-wise, pageantry-wise, defending national champion-wise, Roger Clements was there. I mean, he had to go home with the L, but I don't ever remember seeing. I mean, Matthew McConaughey was a given. You knew he'd be there. There was a camera there, but Roger Clements, come on, man, that was actually pretty cool. Let's see here with that D. Yes, I've heard some people I really respect say they don't think another team will score 21 points on Ohio State all season. If that happens, holy cow, that would be impressive. Yeah, cannot believe Heather Dinich wants to rank LSU number 1 after this weekend. I can't take ESPN seriously. I find that hard to believe. I hope that was taken out of context. I've told you guys this before. Heather Dinich worked for me in my prior life for about 2 hours. She got a better job and boogied. But I digress. Iggy had no penalties. Hallelujah. Julian Sayed, best manager in America. Oh, he's more than a manager. He's more than a manager. They're going to cut him loose at some point. I think Ryan even said after the game they could have, but there was no need. There was no need. Texas didn't do anything. They were running the ball with some success, but they were not threatening. So I don't have any problem with the game plan. D. Sanchez, I hope that was as glorious a beginning to see your kid out there on that day that it was for us to watch him. That was very, very cool. I'm trying to go as fast as I can here, guys. I apologize. There's more comments in here than I thought. Shocker, it's Monday and we're about to be ranked number 1 and we're the defending champs. What did Arch do at all those Manning camps? I think we need to lay off Arch a little bit. He did not play well. I'm not saying he did, but I'd be surprised if he does not round into form. Sarkisian is a good coach. That is a really talented team. They just went up against a team that might be more talented. And they got out-coached. They got out-executed. They got out-prepared. It happens. I don't think this will be held against them. Kind of like Ohio State, you're going to end up, the Oregon loss was a loss on the road by 1 score to number 1. That doesn't end up hurting you. Although I would venture a guess, or that's not a guess. In my opinion, I think Ohio State played Oregon closer last year than Texas played Ohio State this year, regardless of how it ended up. Judkins be able to come back. Yeah, that doesn't feel like reality to me. Nah. I think we're going to be okay at running back. And I realize that, in a game where so much goes well, things that don't go as well are going to draw the blinking light. But I think these guys deserve the benefit of the doubt. We should have went after Justice Haynes. I believe we did talk to Justin Haynes, but nothing materialized there. Also, Justice Haynes was running against New Mexico. He was not running against Texas. Those states are very close to each other, I think. Their personnel, not that close. So let's compare apples to apples at some point. And if Ohio State struggles to run the ball against Grambling or OU, then we'll convene in here, and it won't take me to point it out. You nutters will be on that in the thread immediato. But I think we need to be a little more patient there with the attack. Texas is very, very talented, especially in their front 7. A lot of those guys were back. All right, let's go through here. Completely, Caleb stays in, and Devin. Caleb stays in, Devin, and we appreciate him. He is the best. Yeah, not bad for Devin to be able to look over at Caleb and be like, "What are we doing?" That's what I would do after every play. I know you people. I'm not going to talk about that one. All right. Tired of watching all the Manning stuff. Caleb Manning to the Browns. If the Cowboys don't get him first, maybe. We'll see. Holy cow, is that guy good at football? My Lord. Keep in mind, there's a lot of stuff Caleb does that we don't see because we don't have the all-22. That's almost like if you go watch, there are people who do the all-22 film that have access to it. You can go check out. I like the film guy. He did a really good job on this because to me, he's more unbiased. It's super high on Jalen McClain, for example. But there were a lot of times when it looked like Arch had time. And I'll say this. Another thing I thought people were going to be more upset about was the pass rush. But I think that they were aiming to contain Arch because if you look at the best thing Arch did, it was when he got outside. When they contained him, no dice for Arch. Texas was all over Smith, and they didn't call penalties. He got mugged on one play, at least. And it was a 3rd down. So I do find it interesting when commentators point out where the opposing, or that's not the right way to phrase it, I'm doing it myself, where the officiating crews come from, as if because they come from those conferences, they're just going to cheat for their team. I don't know why also you would mention it. And Joel Klatt, he a Big Tenor, mentioned that it was an SEC crew several times. I don't know why you would mention that unless you're trying to imply that they're going to give SEC teams the benefit of the doubt. But I don't think the game was that poorly officiated by the SEC crew. Aaron Scott, I don't remember seeing him out there, but he's one of those guys I think you can expect to see a ton of going forward. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of reiterating what Coach Day said. I really think they were just trying to get the dub here. Just get the dub and get out. Then you get to focus on getting everyone PT, resting some legs of some veterans going forward. Ryan Snyder says, I hope Texas stays highly ranked or top teams will be discouraged from taking big games early. I don't think that's actually the case. I think getting into the playoff is going to be the main arbiter of whether coaches retain their jobs. And I think if the committee is true to their word that they want you to play a tougher schedule, that we won't face that. That said, let's see the committee do that. If the committee takes a turn, I think the scheduling will do so as well. Rob Schaller, again, you don't take unnecessary risks, especially with half of your possessions inside your own 10. At no time did I feel like OSU wasn't in control of the game. Rob, you should have a podcast. I could take some time off. It's exactly how I feel. Texas will still be top 8 when polls come out. I have not sat and done past the top 5. Why would I? Just kidding. That makes sense to me. Keep in mind, with those big-time matchups, half the teams lost. And then Florida State took out a ranked team. Hello, let's all just sit back and be thankful we are not in Tuscaloosa. And we are not Alabama fans right now. Holy cow. That's all I can say. That's not a fun place to be right now. Whereas we finished the season last season basking number 1, temporarily let Texas hold the number 1 ranking, said, you want it? We'll take it back. And there we go. Grambling has produced a lot of NFL players. That's true. Eddie Edwards, including the great Doug Williams. Put it this way. You want to see, there was a movie made once called Grambling's White Tiger. And it was about a quarterback who went there who was not African-American. And in the movie, the quarterback was played by, I think, Bruce Jenner. So there's a Google search for you that doesn't turn up. I know, although if you Google search Bruce Jenner, that may not work out the way you want. So maybe don't do that. All right. Let's go through some more questions here. Buck Rational, my guy. I'm always throw the damn ball in 2025, but I was super happy with the play calling. It's only too conservative. You lose the game. Agreed. And who thinks they're going to be throwing the ball all over the field against Grambling? This guy. And it'll be going around accurately. Good Lord, is that guy an accurate thrower of the football? I said there was a boarding house item about an NFL source commenting on NFL source, and that he trains NFL quarterbacks. That's my source. And he could not speak more glowingly of Julian's ability to be accurate. You saw him in 7-on-7, and he has said, in 7-on-7, if you're elite, the ball shall hit the ground. Never did with Julian. Like I said, people who were think he didn't play well in light of the circumstances, man, your expectations are even higher than mine. And mine are quite high. All right, let's get through this here. We're almost coming up on 40 minutes. Watching Dan Orlovsky analyze Ohio State defense. Wow. He probably mixed in a shot at Jerry Jones in there. I digress. Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky is a big-time Eagles fan. But if you watch anybody's review of the defense, they will tell you the film guy who calls himself the film guy said it was the most complicated defense he's reviewed since he's been reviewing film. I don't know how long he's been doing it. Consider that's week 1 for a new defensive coordinator against Arch Manning, who you probably thought more of before the game, but still, Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian he and Day are considered peers, man, in terms of like offensive, geniusness. So, very impressive. Let's see. You want to have some comments about some other squads. Let's go. I hate to say it, but damn, Miami looked good last night. Maybe I'll tell you who does not scare me. Old Carson Beck. He is going to throw the defense a few, just like Arch threw a couple. The second one probably should have been caught by Sonny, but I just can't. I'm not scared of Carson Beck right now. And yes, Vernell Brown made a great catch. Vernell Brown, we once thought he was going to be a Buckeye. Look, when you see studs making plays for other teams early in their career, and Ohio State recruited them heavily, can't get everybody, and that usually means that they were picking the right dudes. Chris Madigan, agree with you, Dan, but just find it to be a dumb move to put an SEC crew on the game. I guess that makes sense. I just don't know. Like I said, when you point it out, the implications are still kind of silly. I don't get that. I don't know how that's possible. Of course, commenting on Heather Dinich saying LSU should be number one. I just don't agree with that. But I think it's pretty clear that the national pundits need to kind of get your dander up. And nothing works better for ratings than getting the dander up of the Buckeye fans, because we're quite vocal. New top 10. Ohio State, Penn State. This is Kyle Baker's prediction for a new top 10. Ohio State, Penn State, Texas, Georgia, LSU, Miami, Oregon, Clemson, Notre Dame, ASU. There's no way Texas will be ahead of Georgia or LSU or Miami or Oregon. After that, we shall see. All right, let's just finish this up here. Yeah, agree. The fools that were questioning Hartline's play calling were clueless. One thing about this that I don't understand about the Hartline thing is, and I heard Urban Meyer say this on Joel Klatt's podcast last week, which, by the way, I love Urban Meyer. I mean, you want to talk about people I'm in the tank for? Put me in that for Urban. I love Urban Meyer. Man, I just when he talks football, I feel like, I don't know, a schoolgirl, man. I'm like caught up in his wake. Impressive. But he even said it, that Hartline is on the most impressive run recruiting of all time. So if you're on the best run ever recruiting for a position coach, doing something better than any position coach has ever done, I don't know why that doesn't imply that you be good with a promotion. I got no problem with Brian Hartline. What has Brian Hartline dedicated himself to in life and not done well at? I'll wait. Nothing. And he is on the best run of all time. And by the way, no signs of stopping. Go look at Chris Henry highlights. And when you're done with those, throw in Jameer Brown. Not still basking in the recruiting. All right, we're going to finish this up here in just a couple minutes. Let's see if there's anything else. Buck Rational, again, with this D not taking a step back, I may have to support your 50-50 run pass ratio tax. Oh, I was also asked to do a werewolf of the game. I think we'll go Arvell Reese. Several people could have gotten it, but Arvell looked like a werewolf out there. Holy cow. I would not want to be tackled by Arvell Reese. There's actually no one on Ohio State's team, even the punter or the holder or any interns, I don't want to get tackled by. But still, good Lord, that can't be real. Can that be real? Could this really be Carnell Tate? Fans today, family favorite. If you're rocking, let's hit that follow button. Like your favorite post, share the journey. Show me people can feel in my DMs. They're always open for the real ones. Let's stay connected. If that's really Carnell Tate, I've said this about him before. I met him when he was 17 at a foundation function. He walked away, and I turned to Mr. Bucknuts and Dave Biddle and said, he's more mature at 17 than I am at 50. The guy's been through a lot, and it's going to pay off for him. I would be shocked if Carnell Tate does not hear his name called in the first day of the NFL draft. Maybe by the Cowboys. Let's do it. All right. I probably got to get through here. I could go forever. Portnoy's 10 times worse. It's shtick. That's just shtick. Come on now. They're just doing that for ratings. Kind of feel like some of that might have been orchestrated in the back, possibly. All right. Appreciate everybody. Well, that's a good Reese contact, body parts flying, hence the werewolf. Went a little longer than I thought there, but still basking. We'll be back tomorrow with the Dean and the Grand Poobah. Also, Mark Porter's Buckeye in the Sky reviewing the film will be coming out here in a little bit. Hope everybody enjoyed that game. Man, it's good to be king. Have a good one. Letters of Buck.